We Make Movies Film Geeks podcast, episode number 88.
Welcome to the We Make Movies podcast, making the world a better place, one film at a time. And now, here are your hosts, two aspiring filmmakers, or as they're otherwise known, waiters, Garrett and Chad.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the We Make Movies Film Geeks podcast. The podcast is all about how to get your movie made, how to get it seen by other people, and how to get it awesome. Still with that intro. Chad shaking his head at me.
I'm right here.
I know. I have to sit down and record a new intro, but, like, my free time to do that these days is, basically non-existent. I was up till 4:30 a.m. last night. Otherwise, I totally would have done it today.
Did we lose the old ones entirely?
Yeah, well, we lost my iPad, which is what they were all on. So, yay. But yeah, how you guys doing?
Good.
Hey, everybody. Really good. Glad to be back in town.
I watched Kingsman this week. It's not a segment, but I just wanted to mention that. I enjoyed it a lot. It was very fun.
I've seen it twice already. It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
Good action movie. Awesome.
It's fun.
Awesome movie. All right, so we're getting to our segments now. If you are watching this live, feel free to comment on the YouTube channel or tweet us at #WeMakeMovies, and we will respond live on the air. Chad, you have a weird first segment today.
So there was a grenade scare on the set of Sister Cities on Friday. I guess somebody found something that looked like a rusty old grenade, and they had to evacuate Amy Smart and Troyan Bellisario from the set here in California. They called in the bomb squad and discovered that it wasn't actually a live grenade. What it was a World War II training device that I guess trains people how to use grenades without having the fear of actually blowing yourself up or something else up. So that's all it was. Sister Cities is the name of the film. It's being directed by actually my buddy Sean Hanish, who also directed the film Return to Zero with Minnie Driver and Alfred Molina. And Alfred Molina is also in Sister Cities as well, this film, along with Smart Bellisario and Michelle Trachtenberg. Sister Cities is apparently about four estranged sisters who reconnect after their mother's alleged death. That's what it says in the description, and I'm completely uncertain what it means by alleged death.
I actually know exactly what it means by alleged death because it is based on a play by Colette Friedman.
Oh, that's right, it is. It said that. That's right.
Yeah. And all of the sisters are named after different cities. And so I won't ruin any of the surprise.
Interesting. That musical theater knowledge finally becoming useful. Fantastic.
Ding, ding, ding.
Wait, is it a musical or is it?
No, it's not. So It's actually, whatever. Garrett tries. But but yeah, it's like really the play is a really, really great, really well written, a beautiful, heartwarming story.
That's great. Is there anything that might have a fake grenade in it? Is there any reason why there might have been an old-looking grenade on set?
No, I mean...
Maybe it was a production designer. Really, I don't know.
Yeah, that was probably just like a props person with like their kit, and they just happened to have one from some other project they were working on, and it just like fell out. That's what it sounds like.
Unless in the film they're doing like flashback kind of things. So I mean, but
they don't go to like the dad's house, like the house where the dad might have stuff, or
not that I remember. No, it's all pretty much in like the one room, and then like basically they all come back to their mom's house when they hear that she died, and like all the sisters like come together, and they're I don't know, but yeah, there's no grenades involved.
Interesting.
As far as I recall.
It's
cool. There is this time,
but it is a
extended director's cut.
There's death, and there's actually like death, but not death, which is interesting too. Somebody dies, but then doesn't.
You're totally gonna spoil it if we keep talking about it.
It's great.
Yeah, let's carry on.
Yeah. It's a serious play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got some comedy. It's got a fun comedic edge.
His first feature, Return to Zero, the one he had with Minnie Driver, and it was actually, I think we talked about it early on, because they apparently, when they initially raised their money, they didn't have enough money to do a lot of the post and like promo and stuff like that. So they went to Kickstarter, and they ended up raising $50,000.
Wow.
Pretty handily. I think they were
Wow.
going after 50, and I think they made 70, something like that. But they were,
Wow.
yeah. But it looked really good, and Sean's super nice. He's a super nice. And that film was kind of a sad story. It was about a family this husband and wife who lost their baby, and basically how they got over it. But
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
that's your response. Anyway, we could probably move on. I think
Yeah.
the grenade.
Grenade.
I think we talked that grenade to
Yes.
death. There should
So
be some
random.
sort of explosion pun in there, but all right, I'll go next. So we got a lot to talk about Comic-Con this week, obviously, because Comic-Con's happening this week. I'm going to talk about the Game of Thrones panel. There are spoilers, so if you are not caught up on the show, if you have not seen the season 5 finale, tune out. Come back after a few minutes. I'm gonna spoil something for the end
First
of
of
the
all, if
season
you
5
haven't
finale.
if you haven't seen the season 5 finale, you're just freaking lame.
Yeah, just like fucking get on it. Come on.
Yeah.
Very notably absent from the Game of Thrones Comic-Con panel this year was Kit Harington. It's pretty standard tradition by this point that when a major character dies on Game of Thrones, they show up at that year's Comic-Con as a sort of like final farewell. This happened with Prince Oberyn Martell last season. It happened with after the Red Wedding. This is what you do. You bring back the major characters who die, right?
Was Joffrey there?
I think Joffrey was there, but it's definitely tradition. Like if you really liked the characters, you know what I mean? Like we're
Right.
talking Robb Stark and Martell and so on and so forth.
Ned.
So with Kit Harington being one of the most beloved characters who's lasted in the series this long, I mean from season 1 all the way to season 5. After his death at the end of season 5, his absence on the panel was like really noteworthy. And of course, the cast and crew who were there were very cagey. Of course, all of them totally denying any knowledge about the future of the show or the story. But we already know that Jon Snow has been on the set where they are already filming season 6, and they're saying, no, he's just there visiting and stuff. And like, I think we can be fairly fucking hopeful that Kit
He's just
Harington.
there visiting in a
Flashback.
really big, furry black coat.
Yeah, no, he wasn't.
That's
When he's
way
been cited, he hasn't been in costume. But I think we all know. I think we all know what's going on, despite the fact that they're all saying no, he's dead. He's dead. He's definitely dead. I mean, yeah, but yeah.
That is probably
It's fine.
there's versions of dead.
Yeah. Well,
True.
I think that they're telling the truth. He's dead, but he will come back. I mean, right?
Is
Okay.
he going to come back as a walker?
No. We'll get. That's a whole nother topic of discussion.
Okay.
We'll talk about it later.
Okay.
Michelle, why don't you tell us about this thing?
Okay, this was very. I don't know. I ran into this when I was just like perusing the internet. The most expensive Bollywood film ever was just made, and it was cheap. It's called not cheap, but very
By our
cheap.
standards, cheap.
By our standards, it's called, and forgive me, I may say this incorrectly. It's called Bahubali, which means the one with strong arms in English.
Is it written with a question mark, or is that just...
No.
That's
it's
Michelle's.
not. That's me. That's me not knowing how to pronounce it. But it not only was it was made in 2 different languages. It has like this epic like 45-minute like battle and like whole thing. And it was made for under $40 million.
Huh.
Yeah.
Most expensive Bollywood film ever made.
They must not be into wasting money over there.
Well,
guess.
I mean, it just. Well, I mean, I think it was like the budget will definitely. I think it was like 250 crore rupees. I don't know. I guess what a rupee is, but the equivalent is $40 million.
Yeah, I think things are a bit cheaper over there. Might have something to do with it. I don't know.
No,
Just a
but
thought.
it just makes me go like, what are we doing, Hollywood?
Yeah,
Really?
right.
I mean, like, and from the looks of it, from like the snippets that I've seen, it looks like pretty much like 300. like the movie 300 with like all the shirtless men with swords.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's all I
Good.
know about it. It was very exciting. It looks great, but like, what was the budget of 300? Like, I don't know. Way more
500 million. Yeah, it was a lot.
Way more than
money.
$40 million.
Yeah.
So, yeah, interestingly enough, the most expensive Bollywood film ever.
So, Chad, I just want to, and totally should have done this before the show, but I didn't realize that some things had been rearranged. Mine kind of follows yours. Do you mind doing your next Comic-Con segment
no, that's
first?
no problem. By the way, I looked it up while you were talking, and 300 actually only costs $65 million. So,
Only.
Well, so
it was less than $100 million, though. Anyway, so videos from Comic-Con leaked from Suicide Squad and Deadpool. People apparently were showing video and screening them. I haven't seen the video for the Suicide Squad. I haven't, like, apparently Warner Brothers was really good at taking them down or having people take them down pretty quickly. But I did, only a half hour before the show, get a look at the Deadpool trailer, and it is awesome. It is so fantastic. I don't know if you guys know this. About a year ago, they released this like test footage. We talked about it at the time, and it was so freaking hilarious. It was just, I mean, I loved it. I'm not even necessarily a big Deadpool fan, but when I saw this video, it was like test footage. It was all like CGI, but it had Ryan Reynolds' voice. It was so freaking funny. I watched it at least 24 times.
Yeah.
Here since. I just would watch it over and over because it's so freaking funny. Well, the live action version looks just as funny, and Ryan Reynolds is like just so perfect to play that character. So I can't wait to see this. But I don't know if you know this, but I've been reading articles about this. That test footage being released was actually kind of key on helping get this movie made because it did really well. I mean, people loved it. It was so hilarious, and everybody wanted to see it, and they just like me watched it over and over and shared it with everybody. So. Yeah, so anyway...
and I think Marvel learned their lesson from that, whereas like Warner Brothers is like, no, leak, stamp it out. It's just...
But I don't know if Warner actually... Because I think Warner has sold the rights to Fox. I don't know when they revert back or if they revert back, but that was really Fox's... that's in Fox's territory. So
for Suicide Squad?
Fox. No. Suicide Squad is Warner Brothers for Deadpool.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and besides, Suicide Squad is DC anyway. But yeah, Deadpool is Fox owns the rights to.
I remember that. Yeah, we talked about that last time because the same sort of thing happened where the Deadpool footage leaked and Fox started pulling it, but it kept getting replicated and put everywhere so fast that they couldn't. Yeah, they couldn't stamp it out. So within 48 hours, they were just like, "Fine, fuckers, fine. Here it is. Here, you happy?" And everybody was like, "I am very happy." And they're like, "Oh, well, then we're gonna make this movie."
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm really psyched that happened because this looks hilarious. Ryan Reynolds is funny, and there's so many just ridiculous moments. They're certainly going to release the full version because seeing this little crappy, vertical cell phone, version it's funny, but I can't wait to see the real thing. I can't wait to see the full, Anyway,
yeah, the version that we've seen is definitely super low quality, filmed at the other end of the convention hall. They're holding the phone portrait style, and I'm just like, oh, put the real thing in my face, because what you can see.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I don't really, as we've talked about before, I don't really care as much. What?
Never mind. I missed it. My microphone was muted, so I could cough, and I missed the opportunity to comment on the dirty joke.
Oh.
Right.
I don't care quite as much about Suicide Squad. I'm just not as big a DC fan, and I'm very skeptical of Ben Affleck as Batman. But
Ben Affleck.
So Ben Affleck, Ben Damon, and Matt Affleck. But of course I'll see it once it's actually officially online. But anyway, yeah, that's what.
Well, on a related note to the Suicide Squad trailer, and speaking to the more general topic of DC trying to muster its limping movie lineup in order to draw eyes away from Marvel, a new Batman v Superman trailer. By the way, it is Batman v Superman, not Batman versus Superman. It's Batman v Superman. Okay. So the new trailer was shown at Comic-Con, and then almost immediately, it was almost immediately released online. I was exactly as blown away as I was by the first trailer they released, which is to say, eh. Like, I'll be honest, this trailer actually, that's not true. This trailer is worse than the first one they released. It makes me feel like the movie's just going to have way too much going on. Like, the original Spider-Man 3 had a baby with the Amazing Spider-Man 2, where it's just like, and then all of these things, and new people, and new villains. Like, there's clues in the trailer that Doomsday is going to be there, plus backstory on Robin being killed by the Joker, plus Joker and Lex Luthor are apparently both going to be in it. And there's a scene in the trailer where you see Batman break a guy's neck, like a soldier out in Desert Storm, like in Iraq somewhere. And he's wearing this like armored Batman suit. And you're just like, what the fuck is going on? Not to mention all of the fight scenes that they show, like actual fight scenes of, look like bad CG. Like there's a scene where Batman like leaps up on a wall and then fires his bat grappling hook and swings away, and another scene where Wonder Woman gets like thrown into a wall, and they both look like just bad CG. And I'm just like, guys, DC, you're several years behind Marvel on this bandwagon already. And the solution to that is not to, one, put out an inferior quality product, and two, and related to that, blow several loads on the audience's face in the course of a single movie. Like, I'm very not impressed. And they can... I mean, yeah.
Do we... No, go ahead. Carry on.
No, I'm just saying, prove me wrong. If you want to put out the movie and have it be amazing, I'll be happy with a good movie. I'm always happy with a good movie. But this... No.
I just feel like I wonder if they are... excuse me... direct competition. Like, I know they're like that we perceive them as direct competition, but when you really look at it, if you're DC, you're like, I mean, are they just jumping on the bandwagon with the superheroes and be like, we can make some money too, hey, let's go, you know what I mean? Like,
they've been doing that for several decades, so I don't know if that's a new thing.
Yeah, but I mean,
they are a comic book company after all.
I don't know that we really.
I think there's some.
I don't think they are in direct competition.
I think there is some direct competition.
They're both on the same bandwagon. They're both on the train, and they're riding the superhero movie train as far as it'll take them.
I think there's competition, and I think here's why. Because you have an army, more than an army, you have a legion of geeks out there who have YouTube channels and blogs and social media accounts, and they're only going to get excited about, well, they might get excited about both. I know some people who are excited about both, but most of them are probably going to be more excited about one than another. Yeah. And word of mouth is still one of the best methods of marketing a film. And, you know, when a Marvel and a DC movie come out in the same month, only one of them is going to get the most talk about themselves, and that's going to lead to the most box office dollars. So I don't think it's as head to head as like Marvel Batman v Superman releasing on the same day that Captain America 3 releases. Like, that's not happening, but they are trying to be like, hey, I know you're really into all that Avengers stuff, but look what's really awesome. And I think everybody's response is, yeah, I'm going to go back to the Marvel panel. And
let me add to that, you know, the nature of economics are that people have limited money, people have limited time.
Right.
And the value of the individual audience member's time is like, it's just skyrocketing. It's on a never-ending increase, and it's never going to come down. So
right.
People have, I mean, it's getting to the point where I hear about a really good show that I want to see, and it's just like, I just don't have time because there's too many better shows. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that is absolutely direct competition. I mean, in that regard, they're much more in competition than with films of a completely different genre, but absolutely in competition because they are in the same genre.
Yeah,
and I think DC's films would be making less money in a vacuum without Marvel?
That's an interesting question, and probably something that economists and distribution agents could probably have actual data about. And maybe they would, but see, the thing is that they are not creating in that vacuum, and they're not creating as though they're in that vacuum. They're spending $350 million making Batman v Superman, while Marvel is spending $350 million making Captain America 3, and one of those movies might not recoup its costs, because me, for example, I can't go to a movie every single weekend in the theaters. I'm lucky if I can catch one or two per month. So if Batman v Superman comes out in the same month as a Marvel movie, there's an extremely high chance that I'm just not going to see it until it comes out on Redbox or Netflix. So, like, yeah, there might be some, like, general superhero hype that they're picking up on, but they're not making a movie budgeted from general superhero hype. Like, Birdman made a movie budgeted toward and kind of geared toward general superhero hype, because everybody was like, it's a weird superhero movie that's actually not really a superhero movie, and it's just awesomely made. Whereas DC is trying to be like, we're Batman v Superman, it's the best superhero movie ever, and we're spending hundreds of millions of dollars on it, you know what I mean? So, I don't know, it's interesting. But we've talked about this quite a long time.
Yes. Well, speaking of spending a lot of money, oh no, this is a different segment. So, it was going to be such a good segue. Okay, so you know I'm the hugest Quentin Tarantino fan ever, like ever.
I will fight you.
I'm sorry.
I'm the biggest fan ever.
Oh, I was like, don't you say nothing about Quentin Tarantino. No,
my fandom predates both your fandoms, so that
your life predates both of our lives.
I was just going to say, that's just because you're old. Shoot. Shoot. So anyway, so I've had a little bit of inside information from the whole Hateful Eight shoot, because my boyfriend's father is the mayor of the town where they shot it.
Wow.
In Telluride, Colorado.
Oh, wow.
And so I've been hearing about it for a while. It's very exciting. But they just announced the new composer, and I may pronounce his name wrong, Ennio Morricone. And I was like, I've heard his name before. How do I know this dude? Right. And then I was like, oh, dude, like he like composed like La Cage aux Folles, Good, Bad, and the Ugly, The Mission, The Untouchables. Yeah. But I also remembered some kind of controversy with him. So I did a little more digging. See, here's what happened. About 2 years ago, Quentin Tarantino used his Morricone's music in Django Unchained. And apparently Morricone was quoted as saying he told film students in Rome that he was unhappy with the use of his song Ancora Key in Django, and he would never collaborate with Tarantino again, saying he places music in films without coherence. And he apparently added, like, of Django Unchained itself, to tell the truth, I didn't care for it too much blood. And then, like, he goes and, like, is now working with Tarantino, like, again. Like,
well, Tarantino clearly loves him enough.
Well, I mean, he's a brilliant composer, but
of course.
I think it speaks because, you know, you hear stories about people being dicks and stuff like that. But I think it speaks to Tarantino's willingness to collaborate and willingness to kind of like work together with people, and hearing stories from Telluride that they, like, you know, apparently they were shooting and they they needed it to snow more, and there's like a whole town ritual where they like throw skis into a fire and supposed to like get snow. Like, I don't know, there's like a whole thing. Yeah. So, but anyway, the whole, it was just a lovely experience with everybody that was in the town the entire time. So, I mean, as for all of the awful things we've heard about Tarantino, it just makes me happy that he, like, mended some fences and we're going to get some good music in Hateful Eight.
Yeah, here's the thing. Tarantino can say he can just be a dick sometimes. Like, he can say some really dickish things when accepting an award or just in public in general. But you just hear so many stories about how people really like working with him. and there's certain people who we know are good people who work with him over and over and over again. So I think that he's obnoxious rather than like an actual asshole. That's just total guesswork. I have never met the man and never worked with him, but that's the sort of thing where I bet he heard that and he was like called and like, hey dude, could we have dinner or a drink or something like that? Because listen, I fucking love your music, you know?
Yeah.
So
that's exactly what I was thinking.
One of my new favorite quotes that I ran across in the new Malcolm Gladwell book, by the way, David and Goliath, which is really interesting. It's a George Bernard Shaw quote, and it says, the reasonable man adapts himself to the world. The unreasonable one persists in trying to adapt the world to himself. Therefore, all progress in the world depends on the unreasonable man.
Interesting.
So there is a degree of,
Which play is that from?
I don't know. I think it's just a George Bernard Shaw quote. I don't know if it's like from anything in specific.
That sounds like it's from like several of his plays. That's why I bet you it's from. Anyway.
I guess I could like figure it out. Anyway, I just think there is a certain amount of unreasonableness, kind of stick-to-itiveness. Like I need this because I am an artist, and I'm going to stick to what I know is going to serve the artisticness of the piece. That is important. I remember working with Julie Taymor. And that lady, I love her. I adore her. I called her Aunt Julie for a while. Like, she's the sweetest. But, like, she is specific, and we would stay on that set until, like, 5 a.m. until she got what she wanted.
Damn. Is she the Batman? Was she the one who did Spider-Man, I mean?
I don't think she is the Batman. I don't think she is the Batman. I don't.
She did directed the revival of Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark. But the film that I worked with her on was Across the Universe.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
So,
but she was the one. So she was the one on Spider-Man who ended up getting fired, right? Because so many people got hurt. Blah blah blah.
Yes, that was not the official reason. But
You're talking about a friend, Chad. Way to put her on the spot. Jesus Christ.
No. There were a lot of differences in opinion as far as vision was concerned.
Mm-hmm.
Julie's idea was to try to make it a comic book on stage, like to make it look like not people but comics and comic books moving.
Whereas the producers had a vision that people wouldn't get injured while they were making it. So there was a difference. There was a difference of opinion. There was a thing. Let's get into the main topics. Let's get into the main topics. I'm going to return really quickly to Comic-Con for the last time, I swear. In the Star Wars panel at Comic-Con, an audience member asked J.J. Abrams, and by the way, I only didn't talk more about the Star Wars panel because there wasn't that much like new crazy stuff. But an audience member asked J.J. Abrams about his multimedia approach to marketing Star Wars, and if it was something that he would take into other projects and like any future IPs that he created in the future. And Abrams' response was basically just that he thought he was doing what was right and what felt good about Star Wars, and basically doing his best to reassure the fans of the films that he was making his best effort to craft a movie they would really, really love. Like that's if you watch the trailers and all the behind-the-scenes stuff he's done, that does seem to be the message, is like, I know you love these movies as much as I do, and I swear to God, I'm trying my best to make something that you're going to be happy with. So it was a great answer, but it got me thinking about like marketing like this in general, which is something we talk about a lot, but just kind of got refreshed by this. And I think that today when we have the internet and social media and these conventions like Comic-Con and Comikaze and everything like that, marketing things the way that they're marketing Star Wars and the way that Marvel markets their superhero films, both owned by Disney, by the way, really is like, if not the only, then like the best option studios have available to them. And you do see problems cropping up when studios resist that kind of marketing. Like, who wants to start promoting their movie just a couple of months before it releases? You want that shit being hyped up and promoted and talked about years in advance of the movie coming out. But at the same time, you can't just put out a trailer 18 months beforehand and then be like, well, that's all we're doing until we put out new trailers a couple of months before. No, like, they want behind the scenes video and you know, pictures going up on Instagram and posts on your Facebook page and all that sort of shit. So obviously, the truth is that this only works for the studios because the studios, the franchises, and some of the creators involved have huge online presences. But I think that that's actually a hopeful thing for indies as well, if they can get that following, any kind of following that's big enough to support you, but only if you're actually going to use it. And that's something that we haven't always talked about before. Like we've mentioned, you're more likely to get an acting job if you have a huge Twitter following than a similarly skilled actor with no Twitter account at all. But the thing is you can't just have followers. You have to reach out to them in an intelligent way. And just to make it more clear what I'm talking about, like here's an example from my own experience. I have almost 2,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel and just about 1,000 fans on most of the social media sites where I am. And to tell the truth, just telling them about a new release doesn't really move many copies of my books when they come out. But what does work is when I create something that's cool in and of itself, that's appropriate for whatever social media platforms, and then back it up with like a well-crafted email to my email list telling them about the release. So it's not enough, like, and I know that me personally, and probably you guys as well, we have tried putting together projects with people, specifically including people, because they had followings. But we didn't I didn't necessarily like use that following. And it's not enough to just have somebody who, it's not enough that just they're famous because they have lots of followers on Twitter. You have to, like, it has to be part of the planning and the distribution and the marketing for it, how you're actually going to use that. Like, it's not enough to just have the audience. You have to, I mean, to be a dirty, rotten mercenary around it, you have to sell to that audience. So the stuff that Abrams is doing isn't just fun for him to do, and it doesn't just feel right, but it isn't just clever marketing either. It's like, it seems to me to be like a really good merging of both of those. And it just shows that, like, you can rally a following you have around a project, but only if you also happen to be passionate about it and can find some thing inside of it that's going to hook people, not in the movie itself, but in a short YouTube video or a sketch or a really clever Facebook post or tweet or something like that. And if you can merge that passion that you've got and that cool hook of the story with some, like, actual marketing knowledge, and you're producing, you know, like multimedia, social media pieces that are obviously important to you but also really attractive to an audience, that, I think, is like the best way to go forward if you are trying to sell your stuff and you're not just like making random YouTube videos. So random musings.
The thing about it is, though, is that it's so funny. I mean, like about this past November, I did that Hyper Island thing, that master class, and that was one of the things that they said, is that if you're thinking about interactive marketing, because what we're actually talking about here is actually more important than just for movies. This is actually important for all brands. It's important for everybody selling anything under the sun. If you start to think about your interactive marketing as its own separate thing, you're already making a mistake, because the world doesn't work like that anymore. The fact is, kids are on their Snapchat, on their, you know, WhatsApp, they're on their different apps all the time now, and it's not, that's as much a part of their life as it was back in the 80s, just being on TV. The difference is that this is a TV that talks back to you. This is a TV that connects you to people all over the world. And so it has fundamentally changed the way that we think and act on a daily basis. So, I mean, while I do agree with you on a lot of the other things that you said, I think that it is, I mean, the question,
it's not a separate thing. Yeah.
It's not a separate thing, and it's not something that I think in addition to that stuff, it's like you have to. You
Yeah.
have to be there. If you aren't being there, you are throwing away, like some of the stuff that you were saying about having people come on board projects. Whenever I've run Kickstarter campaigns, and I've run many Kickstarter campaigns, I've helped a lot of people with theirs as well. And every time they had somebody with a huge Twitter following, if that person was actually bought in on the project, they would sell it. And the thing is yes, if you have a lot of Twitter followers, you do that stuff on a regular basis.
Right.
Whether or not you fold in the project, because I have somebody who was attached to a project of mine and didn't do anything, so the project didn't go anywhere, despite his tens of thousands of Twitter followers. So it is what it is. But if they are bought in on the project and they do just mention it in the same way that they do anything else on Twitter, you're guaranteed going to see things. And I've seen it with the last two things that we've done. We hit our targets. It was not a problem. And in large part, it was because of those people with the really big social marketing, social media followings.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, it's weird because what social media has done is it has made everything a product to sell, not just product, physical products, but it has made people products to sell. It has made ideas products to sell. It has made, yeah, exactly. So
attention,
yeah.
Facebook, Google selling it to brands so that they can connect with us. It's true.
Yeah,
Right.
it's a whole new world. I took a class today, which shall absolutely remain nameless because it was the worst money I have ever spent in my entire life. It was
I hope you're being dramatic because that sounds pretty
it
bad.
was $750
Jesus.
for
God.
2 days, 10 to 5. And actually today was 10 to like 3:30. And it was all about hosting and that kind of thing. And you were supposed to like learn how to host or learn about the hosting business, learn about like all that kind of stuff. And yes, I've been hosting for a while, but I thought, this is a good idea. This will be fun. I'll get more ensconced kind of in the industry and we'll figure it out, like learn more stuff. Absolutely not. So this woman,
That's too bad.
this teacher who I won't talk about, basically talked nothing about hosting. She said, and she kept saying, if you build it, they will come. Like, so she kept saying, like, telling us as hosts, you don't go to auditions, make yourself a brand, make yourself a blog and a website and a web series, and then eventually someone will find you, and then they will hire you for their job.
With the information that you gave, I was already able to find what it was you were talking about.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you do find that, don't step away.
That's too bad.
Step away. And, like, we left with a hosting reel, and we went outside to shoot our on-location thing, and the guy comes out with like this little like point and shoot, like, I mean, I don't even know what kind of camera it was, and I was like, where's your sound? And he was like, oh, we're just gonna use it's in the camera. I was like, no, it's not.
Oh,
I'm like,
wow.
we're beside a 4-lane street, like,
God.
no, it's not. I'm like, do you not have a boom? Do you have a lav? Like, he was like no, this is kind of like, on the street kind of stuff. And I'm like, okay.
Wow.
$750 and nobody's paying for a boom.
Wow.
I mean,
Anyway,
for like $60, you could have got one of those road things and just plugged it into a phone and handed that.
Oh yeah. Nobody knew this but me, and everyone else in this class is fucking stupid. I'm just standing there waiting to talk.
That's too bad.
Poorly in front of the camera. Anyway, so all that to say, everyone is about making a brand and marketing it on social media. Like every person, not even every movie.
Fun. Fun times. Well, speaking of which,
Speaking of money.
Speaking of money, okay. So I was driving down La Brea the other day, and I looked up, and there was this billboard of like the Minions, like Minions, and there was another billboard of a banana, and there was a rope that they were like throwing a thing, and there was a rope that went across La Brea Avenue to the banana on the other billboard thing.
Banana?
I was like, banana. Right? I know, it's so good. So, and then I'm like, okay, well that's smart and fun. And the other day I was like driving down Highland, and then there's like a quarter of a mile long of like Minions, and like just like Minions, and like their little names and their little like hashtags and all that stuff. Then I went hiking in Runyon, and I got to the top of Runyon Canyon, and what do I see but a giant blow-up Minion in the middle of Hollywood? Like, I mean, like the size. Yeah, yeah.
Cinerama Dome.
just a Minion, just in Hollywood, and I was like, okay, so this is a lot of money. Like this is some serious advertising. So I looked it up. More than $600 million on advertising.
Yeah.
They have spent on these Minions, which is crazy. And like they have like yellow labels on like 500 million Chiquita bananas, and they've joined companies like more companies than any other film ever, I think, including Amazon.com, General Mills, McDonald's, Comcast, Snapchat. Like, my question is, like, I don't understand, like, how are they going to make that money back?
Product.
yeah.
Is it product placement?
Yeah. Well, listen.
Is it a trade-off?
Anytime you have a film that could be marketed to kids, you can sell all kinds of stuff, all kinds of things that are outside of the film itself. So you create these partnerships with friggin', Happy Meals, and you know what I mean? You create these partnerships so that other people actually help pay for the marketing, and they're marketing their own product, and you're marketing, you know what I mean? So they're helping to throw some money into the pot, and you're bringing them together. And that's why you see, in fact, I saw this, I didn't read the whole thing, but I saw in Hollywood Reporter an article that was all about this, and how a lot of the, it was actually LA Times, but it was how that's how a lot of these really big movies make their money back, is so much is in product.
Yeah, and that being said, though, and I know it's a different scenario, but it makes me nervous. It does make me feel like it's too much, because that's the largest advertising budget that I've heard of. I don't think it is the largest ad budget that has existed, but it's the largest that I've heard of since Green Lantern. And I was excited for Green Lantern, and then I heard $300 million budget and $200 million on advertising. Holy cow! And then it was Green Lantern. Now, I'm excited for the Minions. My family and I really like Despicable Me, and Despicable Me 2. Yeah, and when we saw the trailer for Minions, the kids flipped their shit, and Megan and I were like, yeah, this looks like it's going to be fun. But it just makes me nervous. It makes me nervous that the movie's going to make like $500 million, and it's going to be considered a failure. And you know what I mean? So hopefully not.
I don't think it will be the case. The kids films, in particular, are a whole other can of worms. Even if they don't make all their money back on the film itself, they make so much more money with the action figures and the backpacks and the this and the that, the lunch boxes. They'll make so much that the studio will be like, we're doing this again.
Let's be completely honest. The movie doesn't have to be that great for all three of my kids to go, can we see it again, Dad? It doesn't have to be very good for that to be the case. It needs to have a few moments where the Minions do something adorable, which already from the trailer it's going to have. So
so I'm going to guess that, like, though, okay, so I haven't been able to find the budget for the Minions movie, but Despicable Me was $69 million. Despicable Me 2 was $76 million. So let's say $70 million.
Okay.
So and that's how, I mean, like, really, how much what are they doing? Halvesies with McDonald's? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
say half of their advertising budget is taken up by, like, product placement. So there's
Yeah.
600 million. That's like 370 million dollars that they are in the hole. It's just beyond me how they could ever make money from it, but I don't know.
I guarantee you they'll make it back. I guarantee you. I mean, this is not at all Green Lantern. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's true.
Is,
And it's also interesting to me that this is coming from, I think, DreamWorks and not Pixar or Disney, because this is the level of operation that you generally see from Pixar and or Disney, which is now basically the same thing. But like Frozen, holy shit, Frozen merchandising probably made, Disney just billions of dollars. But we didn't like. There's always been Minions toys, but this is some next level shit. Like this is like A-list fucking it's pretty intense. So there you go.
So I mean, is this something that indie films should pursue more?
Absolutely not.
Aggressive?
No, this is another can of worms. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is. I mean, you're talking about, first of all, indie films working in an entirely different world.
No, I mean like
talking about-
product placement wise, not advertising wise.
Probably not.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, the thing is that we are on the lower end of the long tail, where the tail is past the sort of that midway point. You know what I mean? And that's where most indie films are. If you win the lottery, you end up with the Paranormal Activities and you shoot up to the top. But that's the odds of that are pretty much on par with winning the lottery.
Because the thing is, on product placement, it's an all or nothing game. You have to be everywhere, or you might as well not be anywhere. Like, you do have to have Minions on every fucking street corner and in every Happy Meal and everything like that for it to be like worth investing $600 million. Like, we could do product placement for, Unsaid, not that you could, but just like as an example. But like, but like you couldn't.
Marlboro Ultralights and Jim Beam, like
Jesus
what?
Christ.
But the term that I've heard, like the amount of money that I've heard that you have to spend to make a mainstream movie make money back is minimum 30. I think it was like $30 million.
Yeah. Yeah. So there you go.
Huh.
Make $30 million.
Yes, exactly.
Done.
That's just marketing. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and jump into mine. I think.
Yeah, do it.
So the moves into the digital space, they just continue. A couple weeks ago, Showtime made themselves available for an additional $8.99 a month on Hulu Plus. You can get a free month. Hulu Plus is already $7.99, so it ends up being about just under $17 a month to have Showtime with Hulu Plus, all the other stuff that's on Hulu Plus. I got it. I started the free month to check it out, and it looks pretty much exactly like HBO Now, but with the Showtime content instead, and like a very, very similar layout. Obviously, the fact that they have to partner with Hulu makes it clear that they were not as serious about making this happen. I mean, maybe they did spend some money on it, but the fact that they, are sort of forcing this other expense makes it really clear that they weren't as serious about moving into the digital space as HBO, which is, just from our talk last week about how HBO was totally lying about getting into the digital space, spending money on making it happen, while they were saying to everybody, no, we're staying on cable for like a year. But Showtime, who they're not HBO. Showtime is obvious, but they're the closest thing. I mean, they're not stars. You know what I mean? They're the closest in terms of content, in terms of cable content, paid cable content. They really are the closest. And so it's just funny that they weren't really moving far enough. Anyway, I'll tell you more how I love Penny Dreadful, so I'm very excited that now I can watch it without, having to wait for the whole thing and whatever. So I'm really excited about being able to watch it. Lifetime has also made this move. They announced in a press release just 2 days ago that they are going to be creating a direct online service for $3.99 a month. This is the thing about it. It's an app-based service, but it's only going to have 30 films on it at a time. I don't know. I assume that they have some series as well, but they're just going to have films on this app, and they're going to be rotating every week, 4 different, but it's 30 total films every single week. The press release said that they needed that the reason they were doing that is they needed to protect some of the current relationships that they have, so that they're going to still, provide their different things to different places. It looks like, I guess, Lifetime is owned by A&E, so A&E it also has some of this stuff, different partnerships that they're going to maintain. It also said that they're talking with providing content with Dish Network's Sling TV. So it's interesting that they're doing this, like, kind of little bit here, little bit there, kind of putting their toe in. It's obviously, it sounds like all of their content is now being available online. It's just sort of at different times in different places, etc. So it's really, what's really interesting about all these shoes dropping is that if there's a channel or a network that is out there that does not have an online service and DirecTV, I'm very curious, because I actually have some friends who work for DirecTV, and I've been like, what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing in this space? Dish is kicking your butt with Sling TV, and they sound a little bit scared about it, but they're not doing anything. Or if they are, maybe it's super quiet, and they're just keeping it really confidential. But, networks, channels that are not getting into this space are just throwing money away at this point, because they're not going to be benefiting as people start to cut the cord. They're not going to have another option. So
I think just based on what you said, it's like, it seems like the other people who are now trying to jump on the bandwagon that HBO piloted with HBO Go, it seems like they're thinking about it way wrong. Like Showtime hooking themselves up to Hulu reminds me of old school HBO hooking themselves up to cable. It's like, you can get us if you're already subscribed. Like, I don't want that. I mean, I already have Hulu, so it's less of a thing for me. But then again, I don't watch any shows on Showtime. But it's like, no, just give me your stuff. I just want your stuff. And the Lifetime thing.
Dreadful.
I'm sure I would.
Yeah, it's really good.
I'm sure I would. And maybe but see, like, Showtime just doesn't have. What's funny is I say Showtime doesn't have, like, enough stuff to pull me in, because, like, HBO, it's like, here you go, everything, every series. Oh, and by the way, you can watch all of the old ones too. Do you want to binge watch all of Game of Thrones? Here you go. It's all in the fucking app. And I'm just like, yes, shut up now and take my money.
You can get it for free for a month, so you can go and check it out, because they also have a ton of movies on there too.
There's like Homeland and Ray Donovan.
No, and I'm sure I would like it, but it's the thing we were talking about before, where it's like, I have no fucking time to watch all of that shit. And like, all I really watch on HBO is Game of Thrones, which is, a little bit expensive to pay for it just to get Game of Thrones, but like. But it seems weird for them to pair themselves up with somebody else, because you're just making it that much harder. If somebody's not already a Hulu subscriber, you're making it that much harder for them to say yes, And also they're gonna see ads, aren't they? Because it's on Hulu.
That's a good question.
They probably are.
That would suck.
That would suck balls.
Yeah, but those shows aren't built with commercials cuts. You know what I mean? Like, they're not. Yeah. So where are they going to put? God, that's going to suck if they do. If in Penny Dreadful or whatever, I'm watching and then there's a fucking commercial right in the middle. It's going to really piss me off. What I was going to say. What I was going to say though is that I bet that they're that what they're doing is for the time being, like what I bet happened, and I have absolutely no proof of this, but what I bet happened was they were trying to get their shit together and they couldn't in time, and they were like, you know what? We're wasting money every day that goes by. Let's just do this partnership for a year or whatever, and then by the time we have our, when we wrap out our year-long contract, we'll have our own thing ready to roll. Maybe that's what they're doing.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
Well, we'll see rolling forward.
Yeah.
Knee-jerk reactions are not generally the best things in the world.
So let's jump into let's wrap the show up with the community news, and then
Yes, indeed. First, obviously, please, whether you're watching us live on YouTube or listening on the audio feed afterwards, please do pop over to iTunes and give the show a rating and a review, if you would be so kind. It doesn't have to be a long review. It should just be an honest review, and it should be 5 stars.
Hot.
Yes, absolutely, and it should definitely be 5 stars. No, just rate the show. It helps people find us, helps grow the audience, etc., etc. Yes. This week is Improv Night at We Make Movies, 7:30 p.m. at the Theater Asylum. Yeah, not Elephant or anything like that.
Theater Asylum, as far as we know, but look for the signs. Those should be.
Look for all the people.
Look for all the peeps.
More than the signs, because the signs are appearing.
The Theater Asylum in Hollywood at 7:30 p.m. It's always fun. Improv night. Go and improvise. And finally, We Make Movies is the only filmmaking community, so far as we know, that is completely supported by its community, and that all happens through Patreon.com, which is a voluntary subscription service which you can use to support artists who create stuff that you like. So if you like us, pop over to Patreon.com/WeMakeMovies. You get all kinds of awesome perks and benefits for being a member and a supporter and all kinds of cool stuff. So go on over and check it out. And we end, as always, with things to know. I will begin.
Well, actually, let me add something to the Patreon thing really quick.
Sure.
If you have any interest in getting $5,000 to make a short film, you should absolutely start to become a member, because we are starting in September. We are going to open up submissions for short films. $5,000. We're already basically raising it. Half of it, just about, I don't know, about a third. We're me and the CFO are trying to figure out exactly where the number. I don't know where she's getting some of the numbers, but she's probably going to school me pretty soon on what that actual figure is at. But we're already well on our way to making it. So we're going to be opening up submissions, and in September, you could submit your short film, and then beginning of next year, when we've finalized which is the one, you'll probably, maybe a little bit later, we'll probably have all the money, and then you will have $5,000 to make your film. There's a lot of other cool things that are going to be a part of it. You're going to get a line producer, and the line producer money is not coming out of that. That line producer will be paid, but paid out of the infrastructure money. So you won't have to worry about that. And we're also hooking up a few other really cool things, like free place to edit, help with color, etc. So become a member if you aren't already. Definitely by September, because if you are not a member in September, you're probably not going to be able to submit your film.
Yes, thank you for reminding me about that. That is very super awesome, and we would love to help you make your film. So we'll end with things to know. I have 2 quick things to know. Not next weekend, but the weekend after that, I'm going to VidCon. So I believe I already told you guys that, but if not, there you go. And I will not be on the show in a couple of weeks from now. And then the other thing to know is, don't forget, Ant-Man is coming out this Friday. So
I can't wait.
I'm going to talk about it next week. It's very exciting.
I got tickets for Saturday.
I'm excited.
I'm excited too.
God, really?
All right. Yes. Yes.
Yes. The name of this show that you're on.
I just can't. I just can't Ant-Man. I can anything else. I can't Ant-Man.
You know the name of the show that you're on, right?
You just step on him. It's Ant-Man. Like.
Oh, he's got superhuman strength when he's small, Michelle.
Never.
Are you aware of the name of the show that you're on? I'd say it a third time.
I am absolutely aware of the name of the show that I am on, and I fully support every geekdom thing that we talk about, other than Ant-Man. I just can't. Ant-Man is the worst superhero that was ever.
Well, I'm gonna ignore you.
You don't even know you. What?
I'm gonna ignore her. We don't have time for this, because I saw Tangerine this week. And I really liked it. And if you haven't heard of Tangerine, it's an indie film that was shot on iPhones, set in Hollywood. The main character, it's kind of in the world of transsexual prostitutes in Hollywood. It was really, I went not really expecting to enjoy it, but I really liked it. It was really well done. And at the screening, where there was a Q&A with a lot of the filmmakers afterwards, I had no idea until after the credits ran, and then people went up with microphones. But it was really cool, and I had a chance to meet I can't remember his name, but Chris, the producer, one of the co-writer, co-producer. Actually can look right now, but anyway, I met him, and he was really cool, and it was a really good film. You should watch the film Tangerine.
Cool. Tangerine, check it out. Michelle?
Yes. I am very excited too. I've just caught up on the new season of The Last Ship. I'm sorry, what?
I think that's a very
Have you seen The Last Ship?
I have seen The Last Ship. I am not impressed.
What is it? What's The Last Ship?
Well, it's The Last Ship. Actually, is what it is. It's a single ship.
It's the Michael Bay. It's the Michael Bay series.
Oh Lord.
Michael Bay's behind it. Oh, this explains so much.
Oh God. Anyway,
you don't like Ant-Man. Oh.
I am enjoying The Last Ship.
Go ahead. Sorry.
So I just wanted to let everyone know that if you enjoyed the first season, I was a little bit like, because it is called The Last Ship, and at the end of the first season, they kind of get off the ship, and there's all kinds of shit that happens, and I'm like, just get back on the ship. Like, it was much more fun when everybody was on the big boat, and so I was about out, but then the first episode of the second season, I'm back.
They get back on the ship. Yeah.
Get back on the ship. It's good. They're blowing shit up. It's awesome.
Isn't that like Prison Break? Didn't Prison Break do that? Where the first season is Prison Break, and then at the end of the first season, they break out of prison, and it's like, well, you've got a show called Prison Break. What the fuck are you gonna do now? And they actually have to get back into prison. That's what they do in the second season. So.
I think that's happened with a few. That's happened with a few series. I think that's happened a few times.
Well, yeah. Lost teased it. Lost was like, they're going to leave the island, and then and it was happening sideways, like where you thought, oh, this is what's happening after they get on the island, and then at the end they're like, no, we're going back to the island, and you're like, whew, okay, good, because without the island, you got nothing. So anyway, spoiler alert for Lost season 4. Anyway.
Yeah.
You know what?
And if any of you are around in the next 45 minutes and near Hollywood, 7:30 tonight. We Make Movies screening series. We're going to be screening a few films, including Unsaid.
You guys gotta get there. I just realized it's happening in less than an hour. You guys gotta go.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, we should wrap up the show. So with that,
I'm going to go in my Backstreet Boys t-shirt.
Fantastic. I will call an end to this episode of the We Make Movies Film Geeks podcast. Thank you so much for everybody who watched us live as we were making fools of ourselves today. I'm Garrett Robinson. You can find me at garrettbrobinson.com. Chad can be found online at superfreako.com, and Michelle is on Twitter at mlucadoo. We'll see you next week, everybody. Goodbye.